Gardener's Workshop farm on this brisk day. It is about 31 degrees is what it says it feels like out here, but I really wanted to share a little walkabout in the cool flower garden, and we're also going to go into the grow room, but I thought we'll start out here. And the real reason I wanted to share a look at the garden is there are so many, and totally warranted, there are so many people that are deeply concerned about their cool flowers right now. I will tell you that January and February are the hardest months. If you're a fall planter, if you planted stuff in the fall, if stuff is winter hardy where you are, and when we kind of keep our eye on them out in the garden, we get really concerned because let's be honest, if we were standing outside in the cold of winter, we wouldn't look as good as we do like on a spring day, right? I mean, there's definitely going to be some damage, and that is perfectly normal in my experience. So I thought I would share some of the cool flower damage that we're seeing in our garden, and that maybe will help you. And I will tell you, we've also kind of loosened the screws here on cool flowers, meaning I am trying to see how far I can push cool flowers, meaning not covering as much as I think maybe I should, because the bottom line is, y'all, the cool season hardy annuals are much more resilient in cold weather than we give them credit for. And I think having row covers and hoops, which are definitely a necessity, there are times when you definitely need to use them, but I think that I'm as guilty as other people that perhaps we use them too much these days. So even though, so we had what we're coming off of this last week. We had 4 to 5 inches of snow here. I'm in southeastern Virginia. I'm zone 7B, 8A. Took my covers down because we had snow coming. The types of tunnels that I use are just lightweight, low tunnels. They are not caterpillars. I don't use any plastic. And so we take them down when snow comes because they will collapse. And snow on top of fabric, on top of your plants, does not make for a good situation when the snow finally melts. So whenever there's any frozen precipitation coming or forecasted, if your covers are up, you need to take them down. So we had 4 to 5 inches of snow, the covers were down, and then we went in to 11 degrees here, which is kind of normal for January or February. But that means your row covers are frozen, right? You can't get them to come back up, and so we just kind of went with it. And I have not put my covers back up. We did have 2 really warm days this week, like in 60 degrees. I mean, it was like a wonderful surprise. But we had monsoon rain here yesterday. I literally had to tiptoe over to where I am right now. Cool Flowers is right in front of me where we're getting ready to go. So, I'm not going to put my covers back up because I really want to help my beds dry out. And this is the kind of weather, y'all, that we have to think about when we're planting cool season hardy annuals out in the fall. Winter gardening is very different than summer gardening. Places in your garden or on your farm that you may use all summer long in spring, so you're not even really aware that there might be a drainage problem there in the winter because the temperatures are not high, which mean it doesn't dry out, it doesn't evaporate, it doesn't heat up, and that little help isn't there. When you have poor drainage with winter gardening, it makes for not a good recipe. And as I'm just going to walk through the garden on a couple of pathways, because the garden is so wet, it's kind of squishy. And I'll be really honest, the pathways, I'm not going to sink, but I don't even like walking on the soil of my garden when I can feel any kind of compression happening, because that means I'm kind of like making mud patties, so that's why, I just don't really, we're not going to go all over the garden. I've picked a couple of rows for us to look at and have a look at all that, and then we're going to go inside and look at the grow room. But what I want you to take away today is that it's okay if cool flowers have brown not spots, but they look brown like they're dying because that's cold damage most often and wind damage. And also pay really close attention to the drainage. I mean, you want your wherever you're planting cool season hardy annuals, that's vegetables or flowers, you want to have excellent drainage because that's what takes out a lot of these plants. It's not the winter cold, which everybody assumes. These plants are far more hardy than we are, right? So I'm going to get up from here, and now the sun's come out, y'all. I kind of feels pretty good sitting here. And I will tell you that over here on this side of our little farm, I have tree trimmings laying everywhere. You know, doing certain chores in a timely manner are really important. And so about 10 days ago, we had a window of I had time. It was the proper time of year. It was colder than this, and it was the time to prune our trees and some of our big overgrown southern wax myrtles. And so I have this amazing, y'all. If you know, this is what I got for Christmas. I gave it. No, Stevie got it for me. I have a Steel, the brand Steel, battery-powered chainsaw. It has liberated my life, y'all. I mean, I cut a tree down that was this big around with that thing. I mean, the battery lasts for a couple of hours. Anyway, I just went mad here on the farm doing pruning because it was so easy and I could do it by myself. So there's tree, if you happen to see limbs down, that's what they're from, because we haven't had the manpower or the weather to come back and chop them up to make a brush pile for our wildlife. So let's have a look at the cool flower garden, and I'm gonna have to carry this tripod. All right, so we gotta take the tripod along because I gotta be able to, well, I'll just turn you around, y'all. Gotta be able to talk to you in the grow room. So, see, that's what, oh, and I'm glad I just showed you this. This is the pine tree that's right behind me. I don't even know if y'all are aware of it, but we have a live streaming camera on this garden. Basically, the view you're looking at right now. It's on YouTube. It's down right this moment because I have to take it down to do this live. But you will, most often, you can go to YouTube or you can even go to our website on the blog and actually just kind of see what's happening here in this garden. So you can see the covers are down and they were blown all to kingdom come because the rainstorm yesterday had a lot of wind with it. So I am going to walk down this pathway so we can look on both sides. And I will say to you, if you're new to Cool Flowers, or if you don't even know what I'm talking about, Cool Flowers is the name of my book that's about a group of flowers. And there are also vegetables. It's not in my book, but there are vegetables that follow this same concept that are cool season hardy annuals that many of us can fall plant and then plant again in what is known as very early spring. And so that's what we're looking at here. Everything you're seeing was fall planted here on our farm. And the covers are kind of a mess, aren't they? But oh well. So I want to stop first right here. So first we'll look on this side. This is the fun side. I've had a lot of fun with this. This is two varieties of plants that I have not grown in several years. And so I gave them another try, and you can find the seeds to everything I mentioned on our website to see what the flowers look like and to get a better look at them. And I have to look at the sticks, y'all. So back here, this is that Heirloom Carnation, and I can't say the name. It's Shabud, I think, and I am really pleased. Look at this. They have a little bit of cold damage, but I mean, they look amazing, and they were uncovered in 11 degrees. So I am really, really pleased about that because, you know, we're always looking for that zinnia-shaped flower earlier in the season that's just great to use. This is the Covent Baby's Breath. This is the annual Baby's Breath. And we have one, doesn't look so hot right there. And here's another one, interesting. But look how good these guys look. What's the difference, you would say? One never quite knows. And you know something that I want to share also, so these are looking great too. So for us here in southeastern Virginia, if I tried to very early spring plant these, I don't think I'd get a good stem length. You know, fall planting gives you such additional stem length. It's pretty amazing. What I wanted to also add, this is henbit. This is a weed. You know, henbit is a cool season hardy annual. And you know, look right there, that's henbit and chickweed. We haven't done any winter weeding here yet. And look how good they look. We just have to look to them for encouragement that cool season hardy annuals, when you plant them at the right time for you, which obviously these guys replant themselves so they sprout and grow at the proper time, how well they do. It's the gardeners and the farmers that, you know, have troubles. So let's look over here. This is a bed of Snapdragons. These are actually the special mix that we make is called the Dragons. And it's, I don't know what color this is. This is the yellows. So this is 2 plantings. This was planted later than those. You can see how much taller they are. And they got cold damage for sure. And you know what, y'all? They will be fine. They will be fine. And look at the bigger ones have more damage because they were bigger. See, some of these should have probably been cut back, pinched, but as I said, I'm just trying to really, and see, this looks terrible, but down here at the base, once we get these weeds out of the way, they will do awesome. So cool flowers, let me grab this tripod. So cool flowers does really great in spite of us. So here is Feverfew. We grow a lot of Feverfew on this farm. Not only is it amazing bouquet filler, I think this is all Feverfew. And we grow all 6 that are offered on our website. And there's also some henbit going on in here, but look how good the Feverfew looks. You know, but there's definitely some damage, but they'll outgrow that. And here's more snaps over here. And y'all, they just really, really do great. I can't wait to show you the sweet peas. So these look sad, and I'm telling you, these will produce like crazy. This is Sweet William, the series Amazon. And Amazon is, you have to be very specific when there are a bunch of different Sweet Williams, and people get very overcome with all the choices. We grow the Amazon series primarily because it goes from seed to bloom in 16 weeks, meaning this does not need vernalization. It's not like a biennial. So we plant this in the fall for the earliest blooms, and then we succession plant it. It would be started now to plant again in very early spring, and then oftentimes we would plant it again 2 to 4 weeks later, and then 2 to 4 weeks later. The Amazon series will typically resist heat. They'll perform, but what we find is that when it gets too hot, the stems get shorter. So you just have to kind of like find out what your area, your region, your growing conditions will actually support. So let's look at the sweet peas. Have an interesting little test thing going on here. So this is my tunnel, which is not the way I would recommend growing sweet peas. We stuck them here because we weren't really going to grow them, and then we decided to grow them, and this was here, so we're doing it. So you can see how crazy the cover is. Sweet peas are looking amazing this year. Look at these guys. Look at this vine. Let's pull it behind it. But you can see it's the tips of this stuff. Let's get rid of this chickweed. Look at that. So this side of the tunnel, all of these were all planted at the same time. Look at all of this. 11 degrees they took, and the covers were off at 11 degrees because they were frozen. This side has drainage issues. And let's look at the difference. Look how puny these guys are. Look here. And that is purely, I mean, they're only 10 feet away. They sustain more cold damage. They aren't nearly as vigorous. So cool flowers is supposed to sustain some damage when you fall plant them, y'all. That's just natural. They're outside. And let me walk over here. I wasn't going to do this, but I'll do it. This row over here is on the path, the main pathway. Oh, I'm sinking, y'all. So I had a pack of 5 deer, a whole family, in here, as if the saponaria didn't look bad enough because it was so big. I mean, you can see how it was damaged. They came in and ate the tops off of everything. So they did a little pinching for me. So I think this saponaria is going to recover and be fine, y'all. But look how bad it looks. And that's why I sometimes say to people, don't even go out there and look. There's nothing you can do most often, right? This is agrostemma, which is doing great. And look at all my gorgeous Lisianthus over there. You know, we're doing a Lisianthus test this year. Fall planting versus very early spring. All right, let's go inside. My hand's pretty frozen, and we'll have a little look in the grow room and see what is happening in there. So I've often said that the scariest thing that a flower farmer can do is to go out and peek under the covers in January and February because, oh gosh, I have to do this lock. Wait a minute, y'all. Because the plants look horrible, but that's kind of how they're supposed to look. You know, I mean, how do you look if you were sitting outside in the cold, you know, all the time? All right, so I did not water this morning because I thought, first off, it's not hot outside, so this room isn't really, really hot. So I thought I would let you guys water with me. But first, let me put you on the tripod and get this coat off because I will quickly get hot. And let me be able to maneuver here a little bit better. So that's what we're going to water right there. As well as I have some plug trays on the floor that I pulled out before from under the lights before I went outside. And I wonder if I can do this. Y'all can be my experiment. So I don't know if y'all can see that. There you go. You know, always living and learning how to be your own cameraman. All right. So this is calendula. And I have to take you off because I have to show you this. This is how sometimes seed sprouting, seed starting can be a little crazy. Look at this. So all of this calendula was started at the very same time. They sat in the very same place. They were all on the same amount of heat. And while it is not abnormal for, this is 3 different varieties. We are growing Ivory Princess, Cantaloupe, and this is Green Heart Orange. It's not abnormal for one variety to germinate quicker than the others. You know, that's pretty normal in vegetables and flowers, right? But what I find astounding is why did about 30% of these germinate early? You can tell the big ones. And now look at all the others that are coming along. More than 50% of them. I mean, what did that plant get or the cell that this cell didn't get? Isn't that crazy? And that's why I just encourage people. It's like, sometimes you'll never know. And don't waste a lot of time and gut juice stroking over this stuff, right? Don't get your britches in a knot. You just go on and do it. That's what we do. I was pleasantly surprised when I came out this morning and saw all the additional, this is the orange green heart. You know, calendula is one of the earliest, and I'm going to put you back in the stand now, y'all. So let me see. I got to turn you around. Calendula is the earliest flower when it is fall planted, not when it's very early spring planted. The earliest flower to bloom out in our field. It'll bloom the end of March. It's a super important pollinator plant. It's also a cut flower, but we actually killed all of our fall planted calendula, totally operator errors. So we're planting it again because I need imaging of these for our store. These are 3 new colors for us. And so that's why I just went ahead and started them again now. So if you do very early spring plant them, you might not get as much stem length, but it's still usually pretty good, and they are really amazing. So this is my watering can, and this is obviously a sprinkler sprout, and I keep it in the tank of the watering can, or I would never know where it is, because I only use it when I'm doing plug trays. So these plug trays, as well as the trays we're going to water up on the shelves, every Monday they get Neptune's Harvest, and every Wednesday they get the Nat Troll to help control fungus gnats, which are just a reality when you're starting seeds, right? So I'm going to put this back. So I'm going to push these guys back under so they're under the light. All right, now we'll bring you up and we will water all this good stuff. Sorry, y'all. Are you getting dizzy? Trying to get you a good view. It's hard for me to see for the glare. So what I'd like for you to see, it's really hard. These are not bone dry, but they are definitely dry. This is how your seedlings should be when you come in the morning. If they are still moist at all, or if you see any residual moisture in the tray, then you have to up the temperature of your room. You want your plants, your trays, no matter what kind of seed starting method you're using, you want them to go through a moist to dry cycle in a 24-hour period. You know, if you are watering every day and you come in and they're still moist, I mean, you're probably going to be growing mold and algae and really growing a great crop of fungus gnats if you aren't using the Nat Troll. Sorry, I'm trying to get you a little bit better here. Oh, that wasn't very good, was it? So that's how I've come out, and they're dry. I just can't believe there is so much golden retriever hair on my seedlings. So let's just have a look at the seedlings before I water them. This is the straw flowers. We started these together January 15th. And if you're following along with us on YouTube each Saturday, you know that last week, or maybe I said it somewhere else, because of our forecast of workers available, I've tried to slow my plants down a little bit. And so what that means, you can really manipulate how your transplants grow, y'all. So what that means is that I'm not fertilizing them. I'm keeping it a little cooler air temperature in here. So they're still growing happy and healthy, but they aren't growing as fast. So these guys are just a little bit more than 2 weeks old. This is the peach straw flower. And I think we're actually sold out of that seed now. This is the Silvery rose straw flower. And these were started 5 days later. And, you know, I don't know if you saw on social media, I was lamenting the other day about how I just love coming and standing in this bright sunny room that's kind of warm. And, you know, and I do this to my train. You don't do them, like I wouldn't do that to this one. They aren't quite big enough yet. But once your seedlings get any size to them, just brushing them a few times just helps to build resistance to their stems. And this is straw flower fireball. So we're growing all the colors of straw flowers now. You know, I have certainly learned that straw flowers are a significant commercial crop, whether you're selling to florists, you're making bouquets for your own services, you know, whether it's a CSA or farmer's market. But, you know, bouquet filling, this is an amazing, colorful bouquet filler that is a long-lasting flower. The fact that this thing dries, holding its color, means it has an indefinite vase life. And in the middle of summer, we have found that we 100% rely on straw flowers. So you'll find all the colors available on our store, and we are growing them all. So this one is, what is this? Where's the toe? She put it over here. I can't even read it, y'all. Oh, this is the yellow. And I mean, you just find that having as many ingredients as possible for bouquets is really, really helpful. So let's just talk about succession planting straw flowers for just a moment. So straw flowers are cool flowers. We do not fall plant them. They are not quite winter hardy enough here for us. If we have, like, they wouldn't have survived that 11 degrees out in the garden. That would have taken them. And what I've learned is that they do really, really well very early spring planted, so I don't even worry about fall planting them. I mean, they'll still get 48 inches tall. But we have learned that we can succession plant these. Straw flowers are kind of like Lysianthus. You know, you start them cold and they'll finish hot, meaning you plant them when it's cool outside and then they're blooming when it's hot outside. We succession planted last year, very early spring, 8 weeks before our last frost was our first planting, and then we planted once a month for 2 plantings, and had straw flowers much deeper into the summer. They definitely got shorter, but they were still plenty tall for what we were using them for. So straw flowers are great. So here's that tray of stock that we started on the same, that's the same age. These are the 2 trays, the very first seed starting Saturday that we did. These are the 2 trays. So this is the stock Cat's White. And again, you know, I'll just give them a little rub. Sometimes I'll pinch a little seed that's still hanging on. And I typically do this sometimes after I water, and I'm waiting for the water to absorb before I check to see, make sure there's none left in the tray that needs to be poured off. I'll pull them out and just give them a rub. Not a bunch of times, just usually 4 times, and that's plenty enough. And when you do that every day, it really, really does a good job. So I wanted to show you some of the different ones. So this is all straw flower in stock, straw flowers in stock. This is Craspedia, billy balls. And so we do fall plant billy balls, but it also is one that's on the edge for us, and we think we've lost it this year. So I went ahead and planted them again, and you can see we've just had excellent germination in the small block with these guys. So we're going to do a real test. Last year when we fall plant, we get 40-inch billy ball stems. If you don't know what billy balls are, they're the yellow balls that look like the yellow yarrow. They have that kind of texture. They're super significant for bouquets, and I mean, we just never have enough of them. So we started those again. So this is an experiment that I'm doing with stock, and I put more than 1 seed per square. Stock, because it's a one and done crop, meaning it only gets 1 bloom, you cut it and that plant's done. I want to plant fewer plants, but to have more plants in each of the blocks. So I put 2 to 3 in each block, and we're going to see how that goes. So this is definitely one of my experiments. Another one that I just wasn't really sure if they were going to survive winter, this is Godicia. And you can see, again, what did these blocks get that all the ones that are now sprouting didn't get at the same time? I mean, they're all on the same tray. Go figure, friends. I do not know. I do not have an answer for that question. So I have fall planted Godicia that was pinched, and I have fall planted Godicia that was not pinched. And now we're going to have very early spring. What we're really trying to work on with Godicia is, can we actually succession plant it? We should start this again in a next week or 2 because it's kind of a flash crop, but it's a great, beautiful, beautiful little flower. So we're kind of experimenting with that. Oh. And as you can see, we have our sticky traps everywhere. They're on every level. And as I said, we will do the gnat troll on Wednesdays, and that kills the larva that the adults lay in the soil. And so this is how we do it, y'all. You'll notice, and I posted, I don't know where it was this morning, there's a lot of talk about watering soil blocks. If you go to thegardenersworkshop.com and go to the Learning Center, and under the Learning Center, there is a video guide. One of the areas on the video guide is soil blocking. And the very top video is a short tutorial on watering soil blocks. And I will tell you that most people's problem is not necessarily, I mean, you can see I'm using a big watering can. It's not the device you use to water. It's the way that the blocks are placed on the tray that makes the most. If you notice when I'm pouring against the side of the tray, not up against the blocks. And I think so many people try to pack too many blocks in on a tray, and it makes watering chores. You know, I have to, back when I had a full-time job, when I first started farming, and I saw, you know, soil blocking is what really started me farming, right? I'd never dreamed that I could start enough transplants without having, because I have no greenhouse or hoop houses. I mean, I would have to come out here and water. I mean, my goodness, I'd have 10, 15,000 seedlings in this room. And I'd have to water quick and get to the office by 7:15. And that's when I learned the hard way that you have got to create a water well on the tray. That's what I call it. I mean, in all my lessons, I tell people you should, you know, put the blocks to one side of the tray or the other. Don't scatter them all about. Because that allows you to do what I'm doing, to pour the water in at a fairly rapid rate. And I'll take you down and we'll look a little closer. So, you know, what I'm looking for right now, and what you also need to know is that the room that we're in actually has a drain in the floor in the middle, so the floor kind of tilts towards that drain. And so I find that I have to put the trays, I can put the edge of the tray either on the front or the back of this little raised point to actually make the water move around a little bit more. So you can see, I don't know if y'all can tell, there's just a little bit of water left there in the back. And by pushing it up on that back edge, I mean, this is probably, you don't need to know this, but this is literally what I do. And see, this one has already been up on the back edge, and you can see the water ran to the front. So my question is, did the back get watered? So sometimes, if I wasn't holding a phone in my hand, this would be a much quicker. And see, this has too much water in it. There will definitely be excess water there, and here too. I was talking too much when I watered these. So this is the time when the seedlings are big enough, I would be petting them when I pulled them out to check them, and then I would pour the water off, which I'm getting ready to do. So let's just do that. See these top ones? Yep, there's enough water there. So I'm going to try to do this, y'all, without, I'm going to be pouring it on up, and see the back corner, I've already washed it off. I'm willing to sacrifice for you that back corner. And see, you just kind of have to go really slow, because if the water streams too fast, it washes the block away. This one I think is okay. This one is okay. There really is just a little residue. And what's going to happen, it's bright and sunny today. Yesterday it was really cloudy here with that rainstorm. All right, y'all. See, I'm having to watch through the camera and do it at the same time. I'm really talented this way. So anyway, it's really sunny today. So I am going to shut the door to this room when we're done. And that is going to dry up any residue fairly quickly. And see, I have a drain in the floor. And that's how this really comes in handy. See, this one looks pretty good. And when the plants are small like this, you do this a little bit more than once the plants grow up and they have roots and they're growing, you know, they suck up the water. And I don't mind leaving a little bit of water in there, but this is too much for this young seedling. Sorry if I'm boring you guys doing this, but this is what's got to be done. And since I chose to bring you along on this ride this morning, if I don't finish this chore with y'all, then because I run on automatic pilot in my business life, meaning perhaps part of my secret to my business success is that somebody told me a long time ago, someone in my family that is a really super successful business person, told me that she never touches a piece of paper twice. And what that means is that when she finishes every job, when she touches it. And that means, like, for instance, when you're checking your emails, you don't open an email and skim it and say, I'm coming back later. You either do it or drop, you know, get rid of it. File it is what I do. I mean, so you finish every job. So if I didn't finish this job that I'm doing right now with you guys, then my brain would say, oh, you've already watered. I'd never even look back in this room until tomorrow morning. That's the other thing. People helicopter their seedlings, and I understand it's very exciting, right? But that's what causes most of the problems. You just have to stop looking at them. You just have to stop. And I probably would not have poured as much water in these if I hadn't been, you know, focusing on the camera and talking and everything else. So you don't have to pour off this much very often. So I made more work for myself, but that's okay. Watering is one of the learning curves of soil blocks for people. And, you know, because we use trays without drainage holes, because that way it allows us to easily use grow racks or a rack and grow lights. These are the grow lights that you'll find on our website. You can learn more about them there. We also, I believe, I didn't look before I came on, but I believe that the green trays are still in stock. And, you know, friends, that is... Let me bring this down and I'll see if I can't figure out how to see your comments. If, for some reason, I do not answer your question, I will look at them after I'm done here. My neighbor started their noisy car. Thought somebody was here. We have a Mustang fan or fancier across the street, and they... one of their Mustangs is particularly loud, which is okay because we have Harley Davidsons over here, so we're into loud stuff, right? All right. Let's see. So Pedal Pusher Farm, are you culling out the stock that isn't going to be doubles? No, I do not. I mean, we just don't even have time to do that. And so, and because we plant so many in a bed, we put 8 rows across a 30-inch bed, and we try to grow those varieties that, you know, perhaps, you know, like the high doubles in the name of the color that don't have as many singles, and then we just trash them if we're not going to use them. And I can't figure out how to get that to stay up there. Lisa, how much freeze can spring planted cool flowers take? I planned on planting out on Valentine's Day, but I'm concerned about the low temperatures at night. Jennifer, do not pay attention to the temperatures. You follow the timing. Cool flowers. Everybody can plant cool flowers up to 6 to 8 weeks before your frost date. And I only say up to because some people just have such snow load, they can't plant. But yes, they will take freeze. You should be fine. Harden them off adequately, acclimate them to the outdoors, and then plant them. So word vendors asking, backing off on fertilizer doesn't make your plants suffer in strength or quality? Not at all. First off, we plant in compost-based blocking mix. You can find the recipe on our website under the Learning Center, under all things soil blocking. And our seedlings are in such great shape that first off, I mean, we feed them every Monday. And that's in a dream world. And when we, sometimes if, let's just say if I didn't have fertilizer, there is fertilizer in the blocking mix, but the fertilizer just helps the plants to move along and be happy and healthier. Skipping 1 week is not really a problem at all. So water plugs on Mondays with Neptune's Harvest and Wednesdays with plain water. No, we water every single morning, but on Mondays in the watering can is Neptune's Harvest, Seaweed and Fish, and you can find that at thegardenersworkshop.com if you need it. And then on Wednesday, I add to the watering can the Natural. Both of them you can, find on our website. I don't grow ranunculus and anemones, so I can't answer that. Zone 3, 3 years, Zone 3. Years ago, I accidentally overwintered a Snapdragon by not raking inches of leaves in the spring. This fall, I'm going to plant some on my flower farm and see if they survive. Sometimes you're surprised. And go for it. You never know until you try it. 15 degrees in Missouri. Love when you say a chainsaw liberated you. Oh my gosh, the worst problem with the chainsaw is getting it started, right? I'm not afraid to use one. But buying that steel with the super duper 2 batteries so I can have 1 battery charging while I'm using one, I never have to go to the second battery. I just totally loved it. All right, friends, it looks like there's no more questions on here. I've answered them all. And so meet me again here next week and go on over to thegardenersworkshop.com. We have a learning center that is packed with resources as well as our online courses and an online garden shop where we just sell the things that I actually use. We have soil blockers in stock. You will find the recipe for the blocking mix, trays, seeds, and I will tell you that we briefly had eucalyptus seeds in stock this past week, and they sold out in less than 24 hours. I mean, I'm talking tens of thousands of seeds. And so we do have more that are expected. And if you want to get notified when they get here, go to the eucalyptus on our website on the product page and sign up to be notified. I can almost promise you we will sell out the next shipment to the people on the notify list. You know what I mean? There's so many people waiting for them. So you may never see them on the website or be aware that they're on the website. So check that out. Sign up for my farm news to keep in the loop. And love spending this Saturday morning with you guys. Until we meet again, Lisa Ziegler signing off. Ciao, friends.